Prime Field.
Welcome Prime Field Nation. On a night when Azzi Fudd scored 31 points, another line told a different story. Sarah Strong finished with 16 points, 20 rebounds, and 6 assists. That stat line poses a question. Has Geno Auriemma altered UConn's offense to run through the high post? Is the program shifting from perimeter first sets to a point center architecture centered on a 6'2" sophomore? This film investigates that claim. It traces the plays, the matchups, and the numbers. It asks whether the 16-26 performance was an isolated outburst or evidence of a deliberate reinvention. The phrase point center summarizes the change. A center who functions as a facilitator, a player who initiates offense from the high post, a player who rebounds, pushes, and then orchestrates. Against Michigan, Strong's passing at the elbow resembled that model. Her 6 assists came from proactive decisions, pushing the ball after defensive rebounds, locating cutters, and exploiting rotation gaps. She operated like a passing center drawn from the 1970s college prototype, but adapted to modern spacing and pace. 3 facets explain those assists in practical terms. First, defensive rebounding to transition. After securing a defensive board, Strong frequently executed a bust-out dribble. She moved the ball herself into space. That single act turned a defensive possession into offensive opportunity. On multiple possessions, she advanced the ball to perimeter scores in motion. Michigan's defense was left to choose between fouling or conceding layups. A traditional post player would more often stop and face the basket. Strong kept moving. Second, high post passing angles. Positioned at or above the elbow, Strong forced defensive rotation. Michigan's big could not pressure her without exposing driving lanes. Michigan's guards could not sag to clog the paint without leaving shooters open. The result was ambiguity in defensive priorities. That ambiguity yielded open looks for perimeter scorers. Third, the orchestration effect. Numerically, Strong's game against Michigan shows an assist-to-points ratio of 0.375. That ratio is notable for a 6'2" forward. Her freshman season already showed playmaking. Against Ohio State, she recorded 7 assists while scoring 29 points and committing 0 turnovers in that game. Those outputs indicate deployment as a primary ball handler rather than a secondary option. UConn's offense against Michigan often hinged on a single decision. When Strong received the ball at the high post, how would the defense respond? The choices available to Michigan defined the offense. When Michigan collapsed on Strong, she became a passer. When they stayed out, she had scoring options. That binary created space for Azzi Fudd. In the fourth quarter, Fudd scored 13 points and went 3 for 3 from 3. Those makes came in possessions generated by Strong's reads at the elbow. Strong preferred finding the right pass rather than forcing her own shot. The correlation is plain. Strong's 6 assists arrived while Michigan was defending a player who finished with 31 points. The coincidence is evidentiary. It highlights the connection between facilitation at the elbow and perimeter production. Mismatches were integrated into the system. Michigan assigned defenders like Olivia Olson and Mila Holloway to contest Strong. Those matchups placed a passer with size against defenders who were either too slow to recover or too small to deter her vision. Strong mixed actions. Sometimes she attacked the rim. Sometimes she skipped the ball to the weak side. Sometimes she reset the offense by swinging the ball. The consistent element was decision-making. The threat of Strong scoring kept Michigan's perimeter defense reactive rather than proactive. Strong's 20 rebounds were more than a headline. They affected possession economics. Rebounds are possessions secured or possessions denied. In this case, many of Strong's boards ended Michigan's chance for second chance points. Context matters. Olivia Olson of Michigan recorded 10 rebounds in the game. Michigan also featured Brooke Quarles-Daniels, a freshman described in scouting as a capable rebounder. Against that physical front, Strong's still collected 20 boards. Many came in traffic. She did not rely solely on positioning. Film observers noted repeated fights for the ball in congestion, where Strong repeatedly secured the ball. On the team level, UConn finished with 52 rebounds to Michigan's 46, a +6 margin. That team differential understates Strong's individual effect. Her boards terminated offensive attempts and immediately converted defense into attack. In practical terms, 20 rebounds represent roughly 20 possessions. Possessions preserved for UConn and denied to Michigan. In a contest where possession values are magnified late, those possessions shifted the equation. Strong's defensive stat line, 4 blocks, 3 steals, speaks to versatility. Those plays were not limited to traditional rim protection. They included switches onto perimeter players in disciplined contests. Late in the fourth quarter, Michigan sought scores in the backcourt. Strong rotated onto players such as Swords and Holloway. She contested shots without fouling. Over 40 minutes, she logged 0 fouls. That discipline is measurable. It indicates an ability to defend away from the basket while maintaining verticality and timing near the rim. Her 4 blocks were surgical interventions rather than reckless overcommits. Her 3 steals derived from anticipation and closeout geometry rather than gambling for turnovers. In short, Strong's defensive profile provided both rim deterrence and perimeter adaptability. That combination aligns with a team that wants to switch and recover without surrendering spacing or interior deterrence. Comparisons illuminate changes. Aaliyah Edwards, the prior interior focal point on UConn's championship team, played a different role. Edwards averaged 18.3 points per game as a senior and 2.1 assists per game. The role demanded finishing and scoring. The primary job was production at the rim and in the post. By contrast, Strong's game centers on facilitation. In head-to-head metrics cited here, Edwards registered an assist-to-turnover ratio near 0.87 as a senior. Strong's freshman year produced a 2.25 assist-to-turnover ratio. That differential describes a philosophical change. Edwards was a power asked to finish. Strong is being asked to quarterback. When Edwards posted up, the result was often a shot or a drive. When Strong posts at the elbow, the result is a scan of the floor, a read of double teams, and a pass to the open man. The assist gap, from roughly 2.1 APG to Strong's emerging 3.6 to 6 assist range in featured games, signifies deliberate adjustment in personnel usage. The question of sustainability follows. Strong's recent outputs include 0 turnovers in high-usage games. Against Ohio State, she recorded 7 assists on 29 points with 0 turnovers. Against Michigan, she added 6 assists on 16 points, again with no turnovers. Those 2 performances indicate trust from coaching staff and confidence in decision-making under pressure. Her freshman totals, 657 points and 142 assists, further establish volume and production. She also entered college with historical postseason impact, holding a noted NCAA tournament freshman scoring record of 114 points and earning Final Four MVP honors. Historical precedent at UConn shows role evolution under pressure. Diana Taurus shifted into primary ball handling roles. Brianna Stewart operated as an offensive hub from multiple positions. Maya Moore served as a facilitator in addition to scoring. Those trajectories indicate organizational willingness to reshape offense around available talent. The operational risk now rests with minute management and touch allocation. Can Auriemma preserve efficacy across a full season while avoiding fatigue? The data suggests the trust is present. The management question remains. The tactical consequence of a point center is predictability in structure and unpredictability in reaction. When an opponent must guard a facilitator at the elbow, rotations grow more complex. Help defense creates kickouts. Closeouts create drives. Rebounding by the facilitator shortens opponents' second chance windows. On the scoreboard, these tactical effects manifest as efficient perimeter scoring, controlled transition opportunities, and fewer offensive rebounds allowed. Against Michigan, those effects appeared in sequence. The high post initiation transformed contested possessions into clean looks. The combination of rebounding, passing, and switching altered how Michigan allocated defenders. This analysis relies on the supplied game film and statistics. It does not claim absolute dynasty-level superiority or that this approach will withstand every opponent. The brief highlights specific games and outcomes. It identifies patterns consistent with a deliberate offensive reorientation. It also underscores managerial questions about minutes and durability. Those are practical constraints, not speculative narratives. The record shows strong individual production and a coaching staff willing to adapt. The future outcomes will depend on in-season adjustments, opponent counters, and workload management. If Strong maintains this trajectory, the consequence is structural. UConn basketball would shift toward an offense that inverts a decade of perimeter primacy. The program would be centering play initiation around a large mobile facilitator rather than exclusively around perimeter ball handlers. That reorientation would join a lineage of role transformations at UConn. Past evolution saw players assume playmaking duties as team needs dictated. This instance would be no exception. Tenry, except in the position of the player. The final assessment rests on observable fact. Strong's 16 points, 20 rebounds, and 6 assists constitute a single game. Her season includes performances of similar composition and an established freshman resume of 657 points and 142 assists. Those data show both repetition and range. They indicate a deliberate coaching choice to press her into the role of offensive architect. If that choice endures, the result will be a different offensive identity for UConn. The change will be measurable in film, in matchups, and in possession outcomes. This documentary does not forecast championships. It records a tactical decision and its immediate effects. It documents a sophomore who rebounds, rebounds, passes, defends, and manages fouls across high minutes. It records a coach adapting scheme to talent. The narrative that began with a single stat line ends with a clear proposition. Within the available evidence, Sarah Strong is not only finishing possessions, she's changing how those possessions begin.
Prime Field.